Welcome to the MFS Wellness Podcast, a hybrid structure encompassing health, fitness, self-improvement, and entertainment, where no topic is off limits and all opinions are graciously welcomed.
Let's get on with the show!
And now, here's the host of the show, Mike Sinopoli.
This is the MFS Wellness Podcast. I am Mike Sinopoli, and it's been a minute since I've done an episode. Life kind of went crazy a little bit there, and that's what happens. But a lot's happened since I've been on here last, especially in the realms of death, unfortunately. And we're talking celebrity deaths here, where I know you might have your opinions on such a thing. But two major people have passed away, those of which were huge influences in my youth, as well as my buddy who's here with me. His name's Ben, but we're gonna call him Heavy Hepp because that's his stage name. What's up, Heavy Hepp? How you doing, brother?
Pretty good, man. How about yourself?
It's all good here, man. Just ready to relive some good memories here and to talk about somebody who was super influential to us. We know Hulk Hogan passed away, but just before that, a few days before, we lost Ozzy Osbourne. And just to kind of get some things kicked off here, Ozzy was very instrumental, not just to us, obviously, as just a couple of regular guys who are fans, but throughout the whole industry of metal. Many people will tell you that Black Sabbath, Ozzy's initial band, as you know, was responsible for the creation of heavy metal. So Hap, let's start here, man. Do you credit Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath? By the way, before I get into that, I did forget to tell you all that Heavy Hepp over here is a longtime friend of the show, as well as a guitar virtuoso. Got a ton of great riffs written. We're just waiting to get those placed in the right spot for him to become a legend himself, right? Right, buddy?
I appreciate that. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, you got it, my man. So what do you say, man? Is it pretty much unanimous? There's a little bit of conflicting info out there at times, but is Ozzy Osbourne responsible for the genre of heavy metal?
I would think so. The first Sabbath album, of course, from the first riff of the song Black Sabbath, that's about as metal as you can get, you know what I mean? It's got the tritone, which is called, like the devil scale and guitar or whatever like that. And you know how it goes, just the notes are creepy sounding and everything, from the sound of the rain and the, lightning and everything at the beginning of the album. It's just, I would say it's the birth of heavy metal right there, Yeah,
it's hard to argue that, man, especially just how eerie that song sounds, how it speeds up towards the end. It gives you that more of a thrash metal feel kind of at the end. It's got that slow, creepy intro, and Ozzy's voice is as iconic as it can be. The argument I've heard to that is that there was a band in 1969, a Chicago-based band named Coven. Are you familiar with Coven?
Yes.
They have one album, if you've never heard them. I believe their bass player's name is actually Oz Osbourne.
Correct.
And the first track of their one and only album, I believe, is Black Sabbath. So in a sense, I've heard that they were all the originators. I kind of look at them as more of a satanic themed Jefferson Airplane, really. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. What would you say to somebody that that would say Coven over Black Sabbath was the originators of heavy metal a year prior?
Yeah, I agree with what you just said. I think they had the theme and everything. But I think to me, I listen to them, I think they sound a little more psychedelic, in my opinion, like of that era,
right
kind of music, where Sabbath was just like really innovating heavy metal at that time. You know what I'm saying? And then you had Ozzy, singing, about, demons and war and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So I think that's where all the war, metal originated from.
Right, I could say that, and it just kind of comes off to what went mainstream quicker and everything. Really, Coven fell off. They fell off. I think that's just for people who want to be different, because it's so commonplace to call Black Sabbath the birth of heavy metal. But you can't argue with it, even if it's a boring statement. It just is what it is. So that's what we're here for today. This is a what do we call this? The fitness podcast, health, wellness. But you know what? We dig into all kinds of different things. Music is a very, very big part of staying healthy, staying well. Different songs hit you different ways. This is going to be a lot of a nostalgic hit. I use a lot of heavy metal when I'm in the gym. It's actually driven me. So my own physique has been basically fueled by heavy metal throughout the last 2 decades plus. So, so when somebody like Ozzy Osbourne passes away, it's a kind of a big deal to you, not just because, people will argue, and there was a perfect statement. There was a perfect statement that I found on social media, and I'm not sure who wrote it, but I'm going to read it to you right now, so we have it documented here. And here it goes. Some ask, why are so many people mourning over Ozzy? People act like they knew the man. And it's not so much mourning over the man, it's mourning over a time in all of our lives that we can never go back to. Every song holds a place and time of memory for us. Every song reminds us of our youth and our mortality. His music came at a time when we were teenagers or young adults, the time we felt carefree and life was endless. His songs his songs were played at milestones in our lives, graduation parties, turning 21, weddings, driving your car for the first time, windows down, music blaring. His family lost a husband, father, brother, son, and friend. We just lost a little part of our youth. As of today, July 30th, 2025, as the world watches his final procession through Birmingham, we say goodbye not only to the man, but to a piece of our own past. And Hep, I think that encapsulates perfectly how we feel about Ozzy's passing. Yes?
I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
it's like, yeah, we didn't personally know Ozzy, but he was like a big part of our lives. And, I know you and I have talked about this for well over a week now, how he got you in the heavy metal and things like that. And I think that's the case for a lot of people. And, he was a big presence, and him and Black Sabbath, so it's a huge loss for us. And metalheads, we like to stick together. We really care for our community and things like that. And losing Ozzy is like a big figure, in the metal community. So it's a huge loss.
It is a huge loss. And I'm going to compare something for you guys because last week when Ozzy passed away, just before him and after him was Malcolm Jamal Warner and Hulk Hogan. Now, a lot of time now I put on my Facebook and said some things about Hulk Hogan and Ozzy. And the reason why that is because I felt those two guys were very instrumental in my youth where I wasn't such a big Cosby Show fan. And I even got some flack when I put that out on Facebook. What about MJW? Look, nothing against Malcolm Jamal Warner, great actor. Unfortunately, how unfortunate way he passed away. But I don't consider him necessarily the Michael Jordan of his industry. Whereas you can say that Ozzy Osbourne is the Michael Jordan of metal and Hulk Hogan was the Michael Jordan of wrestling. Now, if Michael Jordan passes away, that's a whole nother thing. That's probably the biggest thing that could ever happen to some of us that live in the Chicagoland area. But I just wanted to clear that air because I was getting a lot of flack over like, hey, what about MJW? Why, it's just a little different. And everyone's got different meanings, and it's all about your youth. What the statement said, it's about your youth and your past and what shaped you. And somebody dies or a place goes away, like for instance, if your childhood home gets sold, or maybe there was a mall, like for me, like the mall I used to go to got demolished, and it's weird. It's like, oh, it's just a mall, it's just a house, it's just a structure, it's just a person. But like you said, when you kind of take it in and associate it with a part of your life, it's like that piece of your life dies. As a parent, I can talk on that on kids. It's kind of like looking back at your now 11-year-old daughter when she was 3 and looking at her and mourning in a sense, just because that version is gone. And now a piece of this past has gone. So does that make sense, Heavy Hepp, on why we're here and what we're doing?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And rest in peace to Malcolm Jamal Warner as well.
Absolutely.
And it was yeah, it's just that, Hogan and Ozzy are such polarizing figures in, their respected business. It's like it's just a big loss with both of them, you know what I'm saying? Like Hogan, so many people got in the wrestling, including myself, because of him. I was a kid and Hulk Hogan was my favorite, and that started my love of wrestling. And same with Ozzy. Like I was a kid and my dad had a lot of cassette tapes, and I used to listen to Ozzy, Black Sabbath, Metallica, Dio, Iron Maiden, stuff like that, Judas Priest, So, yeah, That's a huge loss, man.
Absolutely is. And we also, within the last week, we've also lost a great trumpet player in Chuck Mangione, singer in Connie Francis, and if you're a Cubs fan, Ryan Sandberg have all passed away. Some pretty big names, some pretty notable figures, especially if you're a Gen X or whatever we are, or a little previous. But whatever, so that's what we're here to talk about Ozzy today, primarily. And, one thing I was out there, like, you have to think about just the magnitude of the man. If you can't really understand it, some of the most on record people or bands that will say that they were influenced by Ozzy's music are Metallica, Guns N' Roses, and from there to Slipknot, to Mastodon, to Billy Corgan, to Tom Morello. All of these different genres of music kind of have, even Ghost, have kind of said that they took influence from Ozzy. Even the early grunge bands of the 90s, such as Alice in Chains and Soundgarden, can even go back and say that Ozzy Osbourne was an influence to them. So as you could see, it didn't just stick with heavy metal, it kind of branched out a little bit more. So what I want to know, since we know we're not going to talk about that, but I can bet you any musician, anyone worth anything, has some sort of tie to Ozzy Osbourne in a sense at this point. Now, Heavy Hepp, I want to know, we're going to talk about you and me real quick. What was your first exposure to Ozzy? What was your first song? What did you hear first? How did it start? Tell me the story.
I was trying to think of that before we started this podcast because Ozzy has been in my life ever since I can remember. I can't really pinpoint an age. I must have been maybe 5 or 6, but really young. And like I said, my dad was a metalhead and he had a huge cassette collection. And, of course, Ozzy's albums stood out to me because they look so cool. Like I talked to you about that, how I love the Bark at the Moon and Speak of the Devil album covers a lot. And yeah, I can't remember a time really when Ozzy wasn't in my life, and my dad used to have this concert. It was called Moscow Peace Concert Festival. It was in 1989, and we used to watch Ozzy set on that like all the time. That was like right when Zakk Wylde joined the band and everything. And yeah, I can't really remember the first song I heard. It might have been Crazy Train or something like that, but I just know his music has been in my life like ever since I was, about 5 years old.
Yeah, so basically, you don't even know your life without Ozzy Osbourne's music, and now that he's gone, you still will never know because it's always going to be there. It's the legacy that's left. We have his music, which is something that I've been jamming to ad nauseum here in the last week. I've listened to probably every album, at least the first 6 or 7. Regularly throughout the last week or so, and I'm still going to keep going there. For me, I have more of an not interesting, but more of a weirder, stranger story than just, hey, my dad was into it and I got into it, which is cool as hell. But for me, I was a big movies guy when I was an early teen. When I was about 13, I got a black box in the house. That was the cool thing to do in the 90s, was have the black box so you get your free pay-per-views. So I was into the movies, and one of the movies that came up there was, and I saw it in theaters, was the Beavis and Butthead Do America. So I didn't know much. Yeah, it was. I actually very underrated. But I didn't know music very well. So what my thing was, CDs were cool. I got a CD player. I thought I was awesome. I got the Coolio Gangster's Paradise single, and that was all I had. Then I started buying movie soundtracks. I remember getting Dumb and Dumber, Striptease, and then I also got the Beavis and Butthead Do America soundtrack, which featured a song called Walk on Water by Ozzy Osbourne, a rather obscure recording, not one that's very well known. However, the song struck me, and I don't know, I listened to it on repeat over and over again. And at the time, I didn't, it wasn't really working because I was 13, but I would get an allowance or something. I'd save up, and I went to Best Buy, and I didn't have the internet, so I didn't know what was what with Ozzy Osbourne. I just said, I'm going to go to the store and look for an Ozzy Osbourne CD. And I was hoping to get the song Walk on Water on the album, but I couldn't find it anywhere because it was only released on that Beavis and Butthead album. So anyways, there's a song called Miracle Man on No Rest for the Wicked. I don't know what, but my brain just said that, well, that term is kind of in that song. Maybe it's similar. So I bought it, and that was it. I bought the remastered purple cover, No Rest for the Wicked, jammed through that, found out that Devil's Daughter and Breaking All the Rules are two of my favorite Ozzy tracks, and just kind of spiraled from there. Went and bought every single remastered CD up until No More Tears, and that was it. That's how I got into it, and that's just kind of spun more music from there. which took us to Ozfest a few years later. And that was another big thing, man. That's another thing that we don't remember. We remember Ozzy for his music, but how about Ozfest? You went to a few of those. Now, how many bands got their kickoff from Ozfest, right?
That's what I was just getting ready to say. It's launched so many bands' careers. I mean, like even Slipknot, you know. I mean, they were kind of like getting out there at that point, but Ozfest, like after that, they blew up, you know, and became a huge name. You know, I'm sure there's other bands, Disturbed comes to mind and things like that, but yeah, I really missed the Ozfest, man. It was a great opportunity to see a bunch of awesome bands in like one day. You know, it was my first real concert in 2003 that I went to, and um I missed that whole festival, man. I really wish there was something like that still nowadays. It was just like an awesome day of heavy metal, you know, and you go there, hang out with heavy metal heads, and get sunburned as hell. I'm sure you know about that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. That was part of the
Yeah.
day. Cigarettes and sunburns and metal. That
Yeah.
was me.
Yeah.
Well, I went in 1999 to start. I went from 99 to '06 and missed '05. I was 16 years old and at Ozfest 99. I got there right when the gates opened, which was like a shade before 10 a.m. Puya was the first band up, and then after they kind of went off, the crowd dissipated. I got to be right up front for Static X right after that. And 16-year-old me had never been that close to the stage. I'd only been to two concerts before that, which was Van Halen and the Korn and Rob Zombie. And I was at the Allstate Arena all the way to the opposite side of the other stage. So this was the closest I had ever seen uh, an artist in my
A
life.
live band.
A live band, exactly. So that was just like, holy shit. I saw Wayne Statt. I could see the whites of his eyes, could make eye contact with them if I had to. And it was just one of the coolest fucking things at that point in my life. And now I won't go near the front of the stage because I can't be that around people like that. But you
Same,
know what I'm
brother.
saying? But shit, bro. But yeah, those Ozfests were they were definitely something, and I think they even kicked off like I would say. Now I don't know because Lollapalooza was around, and festivals had been around, Woodstock and bigger things like that, but I don't know if it helped kick off the metal festivals that we got like Uproars, Mayhems, Chicago Open Air, whatever else is going on, Blue Ridge if that's still a thing, and all those other big Sonic Sphere and all those other festivals, rock, whatever the fuck. So I feel like Ozfest sort of like paved the way for those that are out there now, right?
Oh, I agree. Especially here in the US, because you know, Europe, they have a lot of metal festivals, you know, every summer or whatnot. But Ozfest was like our first real metal festival, you know, like you said, Lollapalooza and all that had been around for a while, but other than Metallica, that's really the only real metal band I could think of that played Lollapalooza, you know,
Yeah, correct. I mean, I think Nine Inch Nails were there, but they're a bit more on the
like industrial
industrial
or
side. But yeah, but I'm talking like, yes, a full blown metal festival. Granted, at Woodstock 69, I don't think the heavy metal in its form necessarily existed at that point. I mean, we were just talking that 1970 would have been the birth of heavy metal, correct?
yeah.
With Sabbath, right? So at that point, that wasn't a thing, and then that didn't return until what 1994, which I think was more of a montage of music and maybe even more alternative at that point. So hmm, I don't know if
Yeah,
they're
I think Metallica played 94 Woodstock also, but other than them, I really can't think of too many other metal bands on that bill. I
right,
know
right.
99 had a lot more metal bands.
Oh yeah. 99 was more of the during the new metal boom. So that's where you had your Limp Bizkits and your Korn and bands like
Kid
that.
Rock.
Kid Rock was there and Bush and all that. But yeah, no, it's totally. I think Ozfest started up in '96. I think that was sort of the metal festival birth. So it's like not only did Ozzy, unless it happened overseas in other countries that I don't know about, because I'm just talking from the United States because that's really all that I know. I could look this up, but again, Ozfest, whether it was the pioneer festival for this or not, it was monumental. And like you said, I think what you said was the best that it opened and paved the way and just exposed all these bands. This is even just short of the internet era and social media and all that. So, you know, it was harder to get known back then. It was not as much exposure and YouTube and things, right?
Right,
So,
right, exactly. And
so
yeah, and it was just like I don't know if you felt this way, but me being a teenager at the time and wanting to see so many of these bands, it was like Christmas for me to go to Ozfest. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I just loved being there the whole day. I was like you, I'd get there 9, 10 a.m. in the morning, watch almost every band, maybe take a break, during certain band set lists and things like that. But yeah, it was just, it was amazing.
Yeah, it really was, man. It was just a great day of just kind of like overloading and spoiling the living shit out of yourself with music and just being there and seeing these things. And I remember going in '99. What's crazy to me is that I remember being there in '99 and Black Sabbath had reunited. And I don't think it was officially a farewell tour of any kind, but the kind of the buzz around everything was this is probably the last time you're going to see Black Sabbath. And sure enough, they played this month. Even with Ozzy being deceased at this point, they played July 5th, and that was it. That was their final one. But I just remember that. It's just kind of crazy to think about it. I remember being at Tinley Park in the pavilion and watching Sabbath, and some guy in front of me turns around and he just looks at me. He goes, "Oh fuck, man, it's Ozzy. I can't believe he's out there still fucking doing it." And I'm just like, that was in 1999, and I'm just like, holy shit, yeah, like crazy that this old man who was at that time, I think he might have only been 10 years older than me now. Is just crazy to think about, right? So we were all like, this is it for them, and that's that. But hey, lo and behold, I had seen Black Sabbath probably another 6 or 7 times since then. I saw him last, I believe, in 2016, and I think I saw Ozzy again on his own in 2017 or 18. I don't know if you were at any of those shows, but that was probably the last time I think I saw those guys. But I did see Ozzy at Chicago Open Air in 2017 as well. So.
Right.
No,
No,
right
and
there.
I wanted to say you brought up a good point with that. With everyone saying this might be the last time you get to see Sabbath, and that was back in '99 because we really didn't know back then. Because I remember the first time I seen Ozzy was Ozfest 2003, and he got in like an ATV accident or something like that in 2001. Do you remember that? Or
Vaguely, man, vaguely.
yeah, well, anyway, my dad called me up and broke the news to me, and he told me, he's like, "Man, I feel sorry. I never took you to see Ozzy, and I feel like you should have seen Ozzy live because he's just, he's the best. You know what I mean?" And it's just, even though back then they were, like you said, only 10 years older than what we are now, but they were getting up there in age, and
Yeah.
and then I was lucky enough, I got to see him at Ozfest 2003, and I've seen him 5 times since, 3 times as a solo artist and twice with Sabbath. So,
Good.
but yeah, you just didn't know back then, and it was like that way with a lot of bands. Because remember, even Kiss back then announced their farewell tour, and that went on for what, 22 years or something.
Yeah, it's like I almost like, dude, I thought about like going out to England to see the last show. I thought about it, but I didn't because I had been to the Kiss final show and then they came back. I went and flew to LA to the Forum in 2019, just before COVID hit, to see the final Slayer show. And guess what? They came back. And
Yeah.
so I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to go and buy an overseas plane ticket to this show and probably drop a ton of money on the show and have this happen next year again. Obviously, we know that's not going to happen at this point. Unfortunately, by the way, it's always okay that they come back. I'm not sitting here bitching and moaning, but I'm just like, you make this trek to go see, say you're there for the last time, but then they come back. So it's like, oh, well, what did I still had a great time at all the shows, not bitching. But let me ask you.
Hey, as long as there's money involved, brother, never say never.
Yeah, those guys exactly, man. As long as those guys want to make some cash and dip back into their youth a little bit, I can't blame them. I mean, they made the music. They can do what they want. I'm just a guy there that's either going to pay for this ticket or not. So it doesn't matter really what I think. But I'll tell you. I'll ask you on the spot question. You kind of like brought this to my attention. So like your father said that, hey, I'm sorry I never took you to see Ozzy. Who is it that you wish you could have seen that you never saw? Who is it? One, you have to pick one, like just one. If you can go back and you can time machine it, whatever, and you could be not a specific show, but a specific band, an artist, whoever it is, who would you see?
Oh man, there's so many. Let me think about that.
Well, I said I was going to do one. I'll do mine while you think. And mine changed in my head while I was asking it because I
Okay.
just didn't know if I wanted to see someone that I was into myself, that I was like, I really like, or someone who was so iconic and also like. But I'm going to go that route, and I'm going to say Michael Jackson.
Hey,
I know,
that's a great one,
I
man.
know that's not metal, and the other one was going to be the Doors. But I just feel like Michael. There's certain people, there are certain humans in life that are seem. And I'm gonna sound like a some sort of like idolizing freak right now, but like there's just some people out there that have done so much that they just almost are a character. They're not even human to you. Like they're just like above and beyond. And I think Michael Jackson was one of those. As long as I could put Michael Jordan, Ozzy, Hogan, all in that category right there. But
Oh, dude, I'm a fan of Michael Jackson's music. I mean, he
oh yeah,
is arguably the biggest pop star of all time. I can't even think of anyone that comes close.
no,
I mean, Prince was pretty close up there too, but Michael Jackson was like a global phenomenon, man.
Yeah,
Like
Michael Jackson is in a league of his own. That's the bottom line. There's Michael Jackson, and then there's everyone else, and then there's it's like
yeah, he's
basketball.
like the Elvis of pop music. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly. Elvis is the king of rock. Michael's the king of pop. Ozzy's the king of metal.
Yes,
It's the way it
totally
is.
agree.
That's just the way it is. So, what did you think? Did you come up with somebody?
Yeah, I actually did, and I can't believe I couldn't think of this at first because it's the obvious. But I have two of them, and the
That's
first
fine.
one would be I've seen every band that I love except for Van Halen, and I'm a
Oh,
huge Eddie Van Halen fan, which I know you know, and I never got to see him live, and that is my guitar hero, man.
jeez. Yeah. Wow. That was,
And
yeah.
the second one, well, the band is still around, but if I can go with this, I would have loved to see Metallica in '86 on the Ozzy tour with Cliff Burton. If I can pick that as a choice, because that was them in their prime. They just released Master of Puppets, and which you and I have talked. It's the best metal album of all time.
Right.
Like
Correct. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would love to see Cliff Burton. He's up there too. I mean, like I said, it is hard to pick one. Because I can even go back and talk about the original version of Queen or Zeppelin, as a couple of others. There's just I could go back forever with this, but
yeah.
I would pick Michael J. That's just the way it would have to be. But let's see. So we got this down. Now you started off with Black Sabbath. I did a poll. I have a poll running. Let's see where it's at. Let's see where it's at right now. So I asked, and you tell me. You can while I look this up where we're at in the poll, Mr. Heavy Hepp. Do you prefer the music of Black Sabbath or a solo Ozzy?
I prefer Sabbath just a little bit more. Um, I love Ozzy solo albums, and plus Ozzy has Randy Rhoads, who's my second favorite guitarist of all time. But like I said, with Iommi's riffs and just the overall dark sound of Sabbath, I would that would be my choice.
Gotcha. I would go solo Ozzy, and there's no wrong answer to this. I love Black Sabbath's music as well, but solo Ozzy has a few more songs I like and speaks more to my youth and start of my love for music. So in our poll, we're at 71% for Black Sabbath and 29% for solo Ozzy. So that's where that is right now. Now I did bust out a list, but I don't want to go to it yet because I want to talk about Black Sabbath first. Where are you at? What do you think? Now you've got how many albums did they do together? Did Ozzy do with Sabbath? I believe it's about 6 or 7, correct? You had
Um,
you had the original one of Black Sabbath, you had Paranoid, Masters of Reality, Volume 4, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, Sabotage. Now, was he on Technical Ecstasy?
yes, and then the album after that, Never
Never
Say
Say
Die,
Die. Okay, so
was
one
his last one until 2013 when they did the album 13. Um, that's what it's called, right? I'm pretty sure it is.
I think so. Yeah, 13. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so he's done. I want to say that's 9, right?
That would be
Albums because
that would be 9 if you include that one. Yes. Yes.
yes,
Yes. And
yeah. So he's done 9 studio albums with Sabbath.
yeah. So out of those, I mean, we know what Black Sabbath, the original album, did. Paranoid is arguably one of the most popular ones, I'd say. But
Yes.
what do you put as your Black Sabbath go-to album? If you had to introduce Black Sabbath to somebody, where I obviously we're probably gonna go with one of the main ones, but as a fan, into the deeper cuts, into knowing the band better, what is your favorite? Where do you go? What's the best of the Black Sabbath Ozzy albums? We're gonna go Ozzy only, obviously.
Well, if I was to start someone out, I would go with Paranoid first because I think that has like everything you need to know as a Sabbath fan. War Pigs, Paranoid, um,
Iron Man,
Iron Man, are all on that album.
Fairies
So
Wear
if I was
Boots.
starting someone out, I would probably go with that. For me, I would say Master of Reality is probably my favorite. And I want to point something out. Like that album was recorded in 71, I think. And Tony Iommi used C sharp tuning on guitar, which is really low for that time, So
Mm-hmm.
that's another argument you can use with Sabbath starting metal. I mean, there's death metal bands today that use that tuning, and Tony Iommi was doing it back in the early 70s, That's
Yeah.
how heavy I think, that album is. And it's just got some great songs on it. Like Lord of This World, I think is one of the best guitar riffs ever written. Like if someone asked me to name them, like what is the definition of a guitar riff, I would tell them just to listen to that song. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'd play it here right now, but I want this podcast to reach YouTube, so I won't do it because we'll get flagged and bumped. And another very popular track off that album is "Children of the Grave," and I got a funny story for you about that. When I was younger, I was playing my guitar with another buddy who had drums, and we were trying to write some riffs and stuff and fuck around. We weren't very good, and all of a sudden, I started playing this riff, and I'm like, "Dude, check out this riff I'm playing," and I was going to and I'm like, oh, hey, that's all. And I was like, wait a minute. I was sub I was subconsciously playing Children of the Grave. I thought I wrote it. It's like, wait a minute, I didn't write this. I'm like, son of a bitch. We had a name for it
Hey,
and
that's
everything,
happened
dude.
to me before too. I'll write a riff and I'm all excited for it, and then I'm like, oh shit, that sounds like this or whatever. It's like it
Yeah.
happens, man.
I said, hey, at least I learned how to play Children of the Grave without having to like listen to it or check tabs or anything like that. So I was just like, oh, that's kind of cool. But
Yeah, and that's another one of my favorites right there, Children of the Grave. That is just a heavy ass song for 1971, man. I mean, it just sounds dark and um yeah, I mean that I love that album, Master of Reality, man.
great album. What's your favorite? What do you say? What do you put as your favorite track for Black Sabbath?
Oh, it would probably be Lord of This World. I love that song. I just think that's got like the best riff ever written, like Into the Void would be a close second. That's another one of my favorites, man.
Yeah,
I,
if
I
I
I love the Wizard off the first album too. I was just listening to a live version of that yesterday, and yeah, man, just great
solid.
stuff.
And off that album has my favorite track, which is "NIB" Nativity in Black.
Yes,
That's one of my
awesome
favorite.
song.
It's a simple riff, but it's a good one, and I enjoy playing that one a lot on my guitar and on my bass. So it's just a fun song to me, and I like
Yeah,
the
and
I like that
NIB,
bass intro.
oh, sorry.
No, I also like the bass intro by Geezer Butler. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
it's an awesome bass solo he does at the beginning there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What were you gonna say? Go ahead, buddy.
Oh no, when I was first learning guitar, me and the drummer I had at the time, we used to learn Black Sabbath songs. That was like some of the first stuff I learned on guitar. And I want to say NIB might have been the first riff I learned. And I remember it was like summer of 2002 or something like that. And he had a shed out in back and it was middle of summer and it was just a hot ass shed. And we'd be in the back there playing like half-ass Sabbath songs, but it was like an amazing feeling because we knew we were on to something, like if I go back now, it probably sounds terrible, but it's like, I just wish I could go back and see how far I've come as a guitar player since then.
Oh, absolutely, man. It's like sometimes you don't even realize. It's kind of like this. Remember, this is a health and fitness podcast in some sense, but it's kind of like when you, speaking of progress, like when you look at yourself in the mirror every day, you don't realize your changes and your progress that are coming in. But once you go back and look at something from a long time ago and now compare it to yourself now, that is how you see the real progress, and that goes with your guitar playing as well.
Right,
Absolutely. And
right.
my first riff I ever learned on the guitar was "Smoke on the Water" by Deep Purple.
Hey,
Um,
that's a great riff, man. It's timeless.
it's a timeless riff. It's very it's very classic indeed, and everyone knows it. I'm not going to go ahead and sing it for you, and I'm not going to play it either. But go ahead and listen to Deep Purple, "Smoke on the Water." But anyways, that aside, so okay. So you get the Sabbath years. I don't know what else we want to say. It's pretty much the same core guys. It's Geezer Butler, it's Tony Iommi, it's Bill Ward, and Ozzy. And then you get replacement. Ozzy leaves. What I don't even remember what drove Ozzy to leave Black Sabbath. What caused that split? Do you remember?
I don't know the full story if he quit or if he was fired, but I think I always heard he was fired, and I want to say it was because of his drinking or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also read a story, speaking of Van Halen, is they took Van Halen out on their first tour in 1978, and Van Halen was just dude like blowing people away with their music, and Sabbath, they were still putting on good performances, but I think during that tour they seemed like we need to make a change, like we got this up and coming band, and we're kind of lagging right now. We need to, catch up or something. I don't know if that's the case or not, but I've read it a few times, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
um the Never Say Die album, I guess, didn't do too good commercially, which came out at that time in 1978. So I think just a lot of them things added up and to Ozzy's exit.
Probably. Sometimes that's how bands go. If there's a solid decade pretty much of them together, and just things just go different ways. You get too big, egos they do their thing. Your alcohol, your substance abuse will do what it's going to do. I remember hearing on a documentary, I believe it was Tommy Lee, Motley Crue, saying that they were on tour with Ozzy or whatever, and he was so high on so much shit that he was in his hotel room smearing his own shit all over the walls and telling him to come in and saying, "Look at how beautiful this painting is," of some sort. He was out there, man. There's some accounts of him. Obviously you got the cats with the shotgun, biting the head off the bat, and I guess upset some people, but I guess in his later years, Ozzy has made amends with PETA and such for his stupors, which is not fun. But I guess if you're acting such a way, it's not too hard to understand that you would split ways with your band. But what we did get was not the end for Ozzy, obviously. It was actually kind of just the beginning, because after that, 1980 rolls around, and what do we get? We get a freaking masterpiece, I'd say, called Blizzard of Oz.
I agree.
Like, whoa, like what is this? And it's a commercial success, obviously. So what did you what do you make of this debut album here for Ozzy? Did you where do you put it? I got it rankings, and I'll go through those in a little bit, but let's just kind of go through the timeline here. Because I got a ranking from Loudwire of all of his different albums from worst to first, and we'll see if we agree on it. But Blizzard of Oz, man, this seems to be the one that everybody knows. They know Crazy Train. They know I Don't Know. They know Mr. Crowley, right?
Yes.
What do you
Yes.
think of this album? Let me know.
Oh, it's an amazing album. Randy Rhoads' guitar is showcased on that, and it's just awesome. And I wanted to backtrack a little bit, and
Yeah.
after his exit with Sabbath, it was really Sharon Osbourne that got Ozzy to launch this solo career. I mean, I'm not taking away any credit from Ozzy, but she deserves just as much as credit, and
Sure.
I know there's been some bad things said about her over the years, but if it wasn't for her, we might not have had Ozzy as long as we had him. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mm.
I was reading a thing about him after he got fired from Sabbath. He was in a hotel for like 3 months just drinking himself, senseless, and Sharon really got on him about getting his shit together and getting this music going. So we got to give some props to her.
Yeah, you have to. And the man himself, I know there's a lot of stigma around her that she's milking Ozzy for money, and that it's like her like sponge of cash. That's what she's used him as. But Ozzy's on record as much as anybody else saying that she saved his life. So you're right to bring that up in between that in that era there. And he truly did to take himself out of that hole. And wow. So, obviously, you ask most people what song you got you into Ozzy, or what song do you know. If you ask the casual music fan, they're going to tell you Crazy Train. I
Yes.
don't even think that's the best track on the album. But
No.
between Sharon Osbourne and Randy Rhoads, I mean, I think that was the perfect combination with Ozzy to create something like this. Rest?
Exactly.
Exactly right. So, you got to me, I Don't Know is one of the best opening tracks on an album. I love it. And it's also if you listen to a few years later, we'll get into a little bit of Randy Rhoads in a second, but there's a tribute album to him, and there's a live recording that starts it off of I Don't Know, and it's just I don't know. It's still no pun intended. It gives me chills. I'll tell you, it really does. So
Yeah, his guitar work is just all over that tribute album. I'm not sure exactly which show they picked live from whatever tour it was, but they went with the right one because I mean, even his solo in the middle of Suicide Solution, also off of Blizzard of Oz, is just, it's like up there with Eruption from Van Halen. It's just like jaw
mhm.
dropping.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely is. So, so he goes on from there, and he's got one more record he does with Randy Rhoads, and that's Diary of a Madman, which to me, I could honestly put that at the same level as uh Blizzard. What do
I
you say?
totally agree.
I
I
mean,
totally agree, man.
I go back and forth with which one I think is actually a better album. I really do because I think a very underrated track. I mean, even though it gets its play, is "Believer" from that album. I just think that is such a dark, just good riff. I don't know. The bass line in there is catchy. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it's awesome. In the title track with the classical guitar intro, the last
Mhm.
song on the album, that's one of my favorite Ozzy songs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's some deep cuts on this one as well that doesn't get as much play. It's "You Can't Kill Rock and Roll" and "Little Dolls." I think are also two very good songs. Most people will tell you that they know "Over the Mountain" and "Flying High Again" from this album here. But well, yeah. So then again, follows it up with this, and then I believe this was the tour where we lost Randy Rhoads. Correct?
Yes.
Yes, this is where I believe the story is, and I'm winging it off the top of my head here, is that they had a private jet. They were staying at some producer's residence. Ozzy's sleeping in the truck in the excuse me in the tour bus, and it was Randy Rhoads, the owner of the pilot of the plane, and then the whoever owned the mansion they were staying at, the producer, and they were trying to wake Ozzy up while he was sleeping by clipping, like coming as close as they could to the tour bus until they eventually went straight up, all cracked out on cocaine, and went right into the house. Does that sound right?
That sounds about right.
I believe that's how it happened, or at least the recollection or the way I was told. That we lost one of, if not one of the top five greatest guitar players of all time. He never really got to. Can you imagine what else he would have done?
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, he was just at that time taking guitar to the new level, and it's a shame we lost a lot of good music from him, when that accident happened.
Yes, it is a shame. And you know what's fucking crazy now? Now I'm a 42-year-old man, and Randy Rhoads died at 25, dude. 25 years old. That is like
Hmm.
that's a kid to me. Like
Hmm.
it's insane that's that in that short of a span that he left that type of mark with his, I mean, just wow. I mean, what a loss. But like his whole life though, Ozzy he overcomes that, and then 2 years later he releases "Bark at the Moon." Uh,
Hmm.
Now, I've been on record saying that this is probably of his first most, six or seven albums is my least favorite, but it's still good. It's still a very good album. What do you think?
Yes. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's got a lot of great songs on it, and it was a great introduction to Jakey Lee, another great Ozzy guitarist. And yeah, like I said, that's one of those cassettes when I was a kid. The album cover just caught my attention. Like I guess when I was a kid, I loved shit that used to scare me, and
Yeah.
I mean that album cover's classic, Ozzy dressed as a werewolf or whatever, and on the tree with the bark at the moon and everything, and the music video is great too. I remember that from when I was a kid.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely. It was cheap looking, but it was terrifying, if I
Yes.
recall. It was very, it looked like it was made in somebody's basement. But hey,
Yeah.
I recall. So after that, a couple of years later, we got in 1986. What a year for metal that was. I believe we got Master of Puppets that year, and didn't we also get uh, what was the one the Slayer album?
Rain and Blood.
Rain and Blood. Yes, I
Yes.
believe that was
Yeah, that
86
came
as
out in
well.
October of '86.
Shit, yeah. And in January of '86, we got the Ultimate Sin album. Another good album. I don't think either album, Bark at the Moon or Ultimate Sin, front to back, stands up to Blizzard of Oz or Diary of a Madman.
I'd have to agree with you there. They're good albums, but
Right.
yeah, the first two are just on another level.
Yes, and I'd like to say that that has to do with a little bit of Randy Rhoads' absence, but again, who knows? I mean, "The Shot in the Dark" is the main song off this album and the last track on it, and I think it's one of, if not my favorite, Ozzy Osbourne songs. What about you? How about you on this album? What do you like?
Oh yeah, Shot in the Dark is way up there as my favorites. I like the title track, The Ultimate Sin, Killer of Giants, Full Like You, Lightning Strikes, Secret Loser. It's just got a lot of
Mhm.
good songs on it, man.
Yeah, Secret Loser is a good one. That's not about me. I'm not Secret Loser, but it's a great album overall. Again, one you can listen to. Then now next up in '88, I think this is where we get Zach Wilde replacing Jake E. Lee, correct?
Correct.
And we got
And he was like 19 at the time, I think, wasn't he,
was he
or
that
20?
young? Let's see. He was born in '67, so he would be 21 years old for this.
Okay.
Zach Wilde. Unbelievable. This guy's playing on a No Rest for the Wicked at 21. I'm still trying to learn how to play certain like riffs at 42. What have I done
You,
wrong with myself?
you know, when what was it? July 27th was the 41st anniversary of Ride the Lightning, and
Hmm.
all the members in Metallica were around like 22 years old at that time. And I'm like thinking they released a timeless masterpiece, at 22. And
Yeah,
like, what the hell was I doing then?
I know. It's like, man,
That's an album that's going to live, until the end of time. There's going to be kids picking it up and discovering metal because of that album, and they were only 22 years old when they wrote that.
it's unbelievable, really. And but again, with '88, that now you get this great album. I mean, to me, this was actually better than the last two front to back, in my opinion. Again, this is only my opinion because Devil's Daughter, Breaking All the Rules, Bloodbath in Paradise, those are all just top tier songs for me. I even like Fire in the Sky. And obviously most people will know Crazy Babies and Miracle Man off this one, but this to me is a stellar album. I'd give it as maybe even my favorite, but it was also a little nostalgic hit for me because it was the first Ozzy album I ever bought. What do you say about No Rest for the Wicked?
Yeah, I like that album a lot. Devil's Daughter has a great Zach Wild solo on it. Uh, you named off pretty much all the songs I like. Wasn't there a special track on there like called like Demon Alcohol or something
Yeah,
like that?
it's not a special, it's just number 8 on there. It's called Demon Alcohol. That's another one, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I thought that was like a bonus track on there or
No,
something. I
no.
could be wrong.
No, it's legit. It's literally on the album tracking, but
It is okay, yeah, yeah, and I mean that's even got it's like a cool little rock and roll song on there.
yep. And this album, I was shocked to see this because I'm looking at it here. Rolling Stone gave this album a 1 star out of 5. And I don't see that. I think that's bullshit.
Yeah,
You got
a lot of the mainstream magazines, I don't really go by their sources, because a lot of them so-called music specialists or whatever you want to call them,
enthusiasts.
they're idiots.
Yeah, exactly. And then exactly, they don't know what's going on. But I would say, and this is the last album I'm really going to go through because I feel like this album here, No More Tears, 1991, I feel was like the last Ozzy album front to back that we could listen to. I don't know. That's maybe just me. I'm not. I'm just saying. I thought No More.
I agree with you. Osmosis and what was the one that came out in 2001 after that? I
Yeah,
can't
that was
think.
down to
Down to
Earth.
Earth.
Those were good
Yeah,
albums.
they had some good songs here and there, but like No More Tears, I would say was like the last of the classic Ozzy albums.
Exactly. This was Ozzy was an '80s act. Is an '80s guy. This is '91, obviously close enough. Started in 1980. This is in '91. You got some of the best tracks on this album. I think this might even be. This has an argument to be the best album by Ozzy. I think you got Mr. Tinker Train. I don't want to change the world. Mom, I'm coming home. Desire. No More Tears. Hellraiser. And Road to Nowhere gets a lot of play too. I mean, a few others within. Um, but where do you put this one at? I think there's more keyboard in this one than most, but what do you think?
Yeah, man, that's a killer album. Also, got to give some credit to Lemmy from Motorhead. He wrote a few of the lyrics on that album, or a few of the songs he wrote the lyrics for, like "Mama, I'm Coming Home." And yeah, yeah. I mean, that album. When I think of that album, I just think of the year '91 in general, because there were so many killer releases that year. For music, and that just goes along with all those albums. I think like just that time in history for music was just like an amazing time. Like it's rare that like a year where like there's so many awesome album releases in one year. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Well, one that stands out most for 1991 to me is Metallica's Black Album, which
Yes.
whatever that's the most mainstream Metallica album. We can sit here and argue between Ride the Lightning or Master of Puppets all we want. Some people will even put Justice in there, but I mean, what are you going to say about that? I mean, just yes, the sales are there, but musically, I think it's just more mainstream, the Black Album. And I think Ozzy's album went a little more mainstream here as well. I don't know. Do you think so? I think this was more of a attempt at a mainstream with Mama I'm Coming Home. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, it definitely was.
No More Tears. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, it was a little more mainstream, but it still had the signature Ozzy, sound to it. So yeah, I mean, it was just a great album and a year of killer releases.
It says this on Wikipedia, at least. Reception. No More Tears received positive reviews from critics and considered one of Osbourne's best albums. Loudwire ranked it number 22 on their list of top 90 hard rock and metal albums. Ultimate Classic Rock included No More Tears on their top 100 90s. They also considered it to be Ozzy Osbourne's third best album, only behind his first two solo albums, of Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman. So I saw that, and before I even said it, so I guess that's the consensus in a sense that this would probably be within the top three if we're gonna try to go objectively with it. But again, this is music, so it's subjective. You can only base it if you want to base something concrete, you just got to base it on streams or album sales. And we'll get to streams in a second, but you know, Ozzy continued. Like I said, we're not going to go through every album from here because we know Osmosis, Down to Earth, and then everything else kind of came in. Black Rain, Scream, Ordinary Man, Patient Number 9. Those albums are fine. There's a few tracks here and there, I'd say. I think the last great Ozzy song, in my opinion, it would be either Perry Mason or Dreamer, even potentially. Those are good. Those are really good tracks. I thought Down to Earth did have some good stuff, like Facing Hell gets me through. But to me, a lot of it is filler. What do you think from Ozzy on? Let's just kind of encapsulate the back half of Ozzy's solo career, which would be the other 6 albums. They happened from '96 through his death, basically.
Yeah, I don't really know too much after Down the Earth. I bought that when it came out. I was a freshman in high school, and that's really like the last studio album I bought by Ozzy. I heard, some of the newer songs on the radio, but like you said, a few good songs here and there, but the classic stuff was like the first 6 albums.
Yeah, that's where it's truly at. It is. Now I wanted to ask you before I get to a couple other things in this streaming thing here that we got, and then we're gonna close it up and give our final thoughts. Your top 5. I don't know if you wrote them down or not, but do you think you could put together really quick, if no particular order, could you pick, you think, your 5 favorite Ozzy songs, including Black Sabbath? Do you think you could do that?
I could probably do 5 for each. I don't think I can mix in
Let's
5 because
well then
there's just so many.
there's too many. Then all right, well let's start with Sabbath. I mean, what are you thinking?
Yeah, definitely Lord of this World, Into the Void, probably Children of the Grave, um, Symptom of the Universe, and I'll go with Electric Funeral for number 5. Man, there's just so damn many. I
There
could
is.
probably go 20, if I
I
had
know.
to.
I'll probably miss a lot myself. Mine are pretty basic with Sabbath, overall. I do like, obviously, NIB, Black Sabbath, the song itself. Um, Children of the Grave, Fairies Wear Boots would be up there for me.
That's a
And
great riff, man.
yeah, I really like that. And Sabbath Bloody Sabbath also puts itself in its own place. That's probably
Another
where,
great riff.
right. That's just likely where I would go with the majority of those. I'm probably forgetting some because they're not right in front of me. Now, if we go to solo Ozzy, for me, man, I'm gonna say, in no particular order, it's got to be. Oh, geez, Over the Mountain,
That's a good
Believer,
one.
Shot in the Dark, Jesus, Devil's Daughter, and Perry Mason. That's what I'm gonna go with. I know it's a little obscure, but that's just what I like.
Good. Yeah, good set list.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I might replace one of those, Devil's Daughter, with I don't know. I think I have to. Let's do that. Let's do that.
Okay.
No one's keeping score. No one's gonna remember. So we'll go with that.
Yeah.
What do you say?
I'd have to go Mr. Crowley, and if I can, I'd love to pick the version off a tribute because that guitar solo at the end of the song is just like a beautiful piece of art. You know what I mean? Like just
Right,
it's perfection.
right.
I'd go with that. Revelation, Mother Earth, probably Diary of a Madman, and then I got to give Jakey Lee and Zach Wild some love. So for Jakey Lee, I'll go Shot in the Dark. I mean, I know that's probably his most well-known song from that era, but it's an awesome song.
Yeah,
And
really.
Zach Wild, I guess I would take. Oh man, there's so many great ones with him too. Yeah, I'm gonna go with No More Tears because I feel like that needs to be mentioned. I know that's a bigger song and everything like that, but it is really one of Ozzy's best songs.
Yeah, that's so true, man. It really is. And again, we can. I mean, it could change by the minute. It's to do a top five with Ozzy songs. You really got to sit down and think about it. But that's pretty good for winging it. Loudwire came out with a list, his ranking his solo albums, and I'll just rattle that off for you, and you let me know what you think. Out of his 12 studio albums, we got number 12 is Black Rain, number 11 is Scream, number 10 is Down to Earth, number 9 is Ordinary Man, number 8 would be Osmosis, number 7 is Patient Number 9. Number 6 would be Bark at the Moon. Number 5 is No Rest for the Wicked. Number 4 is The Ultimate Sin. Number 3, No More Tears. Number 2, Diary of a Madman. And no surprise, number 1, Blizzard of Oz. What do you think of that list? Anything you'd shift?
That list sounds pretty good to me. Like I said, I don't really know much about the Ozzy studio albums after 2001's Down the Earth, but I think the first six he definitely got those, or whoever did the list. It sounds pretty accurate to me. I think. What
Yeah,
what would you change about it?
I don't think I would change much because like you, I don't think I know enough about the what do you call it? Like some of the later albums to really where I can properly rank them the way I'd like. So I guess that's a good list. I'll trust the editors and I'll trust the contributors to that. But that does seem pretty accurate to me. I mean, we like we said, mid '90s Ozzy was sort of where things just shifted a little bit, and it wasn't the classic era any longer. As things
Right.
change, and that's kind of music did change in the mid '90s. I will say that the things did shift. New metal got big in the late '90s, and all those bands, those thrash bands, even like Megadeth, Metallica, Slayer, they all tried their hand in some change. Like you got Load from Metallica, you got Diablos and Musica by Slayer, you got Risk by Megadeth. These albums were not very traditional to what they were putting out before. They were seemingly changing with the times. And it seems like with Osmosis, maybe Ozzy was trying to change with the times a little bit through Osmosis, because to me that album doesn't sound anything like the previous, right?
Right. Because like those first six, and you said this about No More Tears earlier, even though it came out in '91, it still kind of had that '80s Ozzy sound to it. Osmosis to me sound a little more modern, not like modern in a bad way, but like I think he was trying to keep up with the times. What that come out like '95, right? Middle of the
I think
'90s.
think like 96, I believe.
'96. Okay,
It
yeah.
might
So
be.
yeah, I think he was, I don't know if it was the
Oh, you
intention
were
or
right.
not, but he was like trying to modernize the sound a little bit. But
You were right.
there's some good songs on there. What were you saying?
You were right. October 95. I just
'95. Okay.
by the time I got my hands on it, it was 96. So that's probably where I was confused. But yeah, it looks like it came out in 1995, released October 23rd. So that being said, like we know music has changed. We used to go and buy the album. We used to go to the store, or maybe on a Monday night, wait till midnight till something came out at Tower Records or wherever. We would pick up the new album. But now things have changed. Now we are in the streaming era of music, where you don't need to go anywhere. You just wait for it to upload to YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, whatever you use, and bam, you can just listen to it all you want. Nothing special anymore. But Heavy Hepp over here shared with me something, and it's Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath's most streamed songs. And I'm going to read those to you, and then I'm going to let you go ahead and say what you want about that. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. So the top 10 most streamed Ozzy and Sabbath songs. Number 10, 124 million, Shot in the Dark. Number 9, 142 million, Close My Eyes Forever. Number 8, 154 million, Bark at the Moon. Number 7, 226 million, big jump there for Mama, I'm Coming Home. Number 6, 250 million is No More Tears. And number 5, another big jump to 388 million, Iron Man. And then number 4 at 398 million is War Pigs. Now another massive jump all the way for number 3 to 624 million is Paranoid. And then number 2 is 771 million for Crazy Train. Now everyone thought you would think Crazy Train would be number 1. I mean, that's the song everybody knows. I think my mother knows that song. But at 827 million streams, the number 1 most streamed Ozzy Osbourne or Black Sabbath song is Take What You Want, which is Post Malone featuring Ozzy Osbourne and Travis Scott. So what do you say?
Can you hear me? Are you still there?
I can hear you.
Yeah. I'm not a knock on Post Malone or something, but when I saw that list, I was like shocked that was number 1 because I never even heard that song to begin with. But I know this younger generation, everyone's got to get into Ozzy's music and stuff like that, and you got to start with the hits. But it's like you need to appreciate these artists while they're still around. You know what I'm saying? I get it, but it's like there's so much more killer Ozzy music than just those 10 songs on there, and the number 1, I mean, that's just some modern production or something. It's like maybe you and I and all the other Ozzy fans were too old school, but for that to be number 1, I didn't even know that song existed.
Well, yeah, well, you got to think it's actually a Post Malone song, so technically that's the era we're in now. If you ask somebody under the age of 30, Ozzy versus Post Malone, they're going to know more about Post Malone. So
exactly.
So be it. That's just the way it is. But hey, if it gets Ozzy's name up there and can put metal on the map in some fashion, hey, let's do it. That's just the reality that we live in now. That's just the way it is. So we just have to take it, and so be it. Post Malone's all right. He's a talented guy, but at the same time, when you see that, it just kind of throws your genre and all those classics. Just wow, like really, all that great music, all that work by Randy Rhoads, by Jakey Lee, by Zakk Wylde, and all these other just phenomenal guitar players, just kind of thrown under because Post Malone's name is there. It's kind of gives you you get a little eye roll to that, just because. Come on, so I get it, but hey, I wanted to.
Why is his name even being mentioned on this thing?
Right, it's kind of like
nothing
almost
against Post Malone or anything like that. It's just.
I mean, I think maybe this list itself.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know what I'm saying? Like perhaps this list itself lended itself shouldn't have allowed that song to be a count for Ozzy's. I mean, if he's getting credits for it, it is his. If he gets royalties off those streams, it's technically his track. He gets credit for, right? So he's there. I think I might have lost Heavy Hepp, just so you guys know, but that's all right. I think he dropped off by accident.
Am I here?
Oh, he's back. He's back. I thought I lost you. That's all right. So,
sorry about that.
No, you're good, buddy. Well, we're gonna close it up, man. Is there anything else you want to say about Ozzy, Sabbath, his music, anything going forward? Anything you want to put out there for the world to hear one day? Because I have 20 million listeners on my podcast, so you're talking to the world. Yep, I think I lost him again. There he is.
I just think Ozzy and Sabbath's music will live forever, and it's just one of the things. There's going to be a newer generation discovering their music and keeping it alive, like Sabbath and Ozzy's music is timeless, and rest in peace, Ozzy. You know, he's a legend. His name will be around forever. And, you know, for all you've done for music. And yeah.
Yes, very well said, man. And my 2 cents are very similar to yours. If you're listening to this and you haven't gone through and checked out some deeper cuts from Ozzy's music, maybe you only know Crazy Train and Mom, I'm Coming Home and maybe the riff of Iron Man or something like that, which is fine. Sometimes some people, you get into music at different times. I would say to go through those, especially
You got to
those.
start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere, and you're never too late to the party with metal. We accept everybody. We're a very peaceful community. We those that are not in it think that we're aggressive and evil people, and well, you know, everywhere is going to have its assholes, but at the same time, it's a great community, very accepting. You know, you may if you don't listen to the music for the first 40, 50 years in your life, you start getting into it, man. There's no bullshit like, oh, you're a fair weathered person. You just started listening. We've been listening to. We're not like that. No, you come in, man. We'll just start talking about it. We'll introduce you to some new shit. We'll tell you what's good, what we like, what we don't, and we'll just have a great conversation around this genre. I would go back personally for most people. I would recommend digging deep into the roots of Black Sabbath and then going into early Ozzy Osbourne albums like the first 6 and just really maybe give those all a chance. Ozzy can be an acquired taste voice for some people. I know he's got a very distinct, significant voice. I enjoy it. I think it's just synonymous with the genre and his music and my youth. So yeah. So, you know, we had a great conversation here. If you want to get in touch with me and do an episode like this or something of the sort, you know, whoever wants to come on, we just have fun. If you want to have a discussion, record it, put it out there. You know, reach me on social media, at MFS Wellness on Instagram, Facebook, even LinkedIn and X. You can email me, Mike at mfswellness.com. So until we're back with a new album for Heavy Hepp, we want to say rest in peace, Ozzy Osbourne. Thank you for the memories. Thank you for the music. Thank you for what you meant to our lives.